What's up, sports fans? Welcome to the very, 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 very belated episode 8. I think it's 8 of the Backyard Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports. We're going to lead you into the NFL playoffs, kind of like the Geico caveman led the Colts past the Texans last week in the wildcard round.
Indeed.
With me tonight, I got Raul. What's up, man?
What the fuck is going on? It has been a long time. I think we're all assholes for that. So we're back. We're not black, but we're back.
I mostly think Gary's an asshole. And without further ado,
seconded.
Gary, what's happening?
You're both probably right. It's been too long, man, for sure. It's playoffs are in full swing, and we're just getting to it. So, we got some good stuff on tap, though.
And like I always say, better late than never.
That's what she said.
Well, that's what I was getting at. But I didn't want to bring my neighbor's wife into it. Just kidding. So we're going to start with last week. We had the wild card round. Pretty good matchups. We want to talk about one thing that we all loved from the wild card round and one thing we all hated or disliked. We know Gary hated about 96% of everything that happened during the wild card round. He's our resident pissed off guy, Clint Eastwood, Gran Torino. Get off my lawn. So I think we'll save him. We'll go to Raul first. Raul, why don't you give us something you loved about the wild card round?
Well, I mean, aside from my boys taking home the W, which I did not expect, and honestly, all of us talked about it before the game happened. I was skeptical. I'm not one of those Cowboys fans that believes that we're going to the Super Bowl every year. I didn't have a lot of confidence in us coming to Seattle and getting or playing Seattle and even remotely getting that W. But a win is a win. That is probably the one thing that I did like about this. Unfortunately, I would have appreciated seeing the Bears beat the Eagles, but Big Dick Nick, man. I got nothing.
All right, Gary, we'll go to you next, man. What did you love about last weekend?
I loved the support around quarterbacks, right? Big Dick Nick, as Raul said, there's something in Philly that's like magical when that dude is under center. I can't explain it. They don't score points and they win. They score a bunch of points and they win. We saw it in the Super Bowl last year, right? They just put up a shitload of points and beat the Patriots. They played the Bears and they didn't score points, but they scored just enough. And, missed field goal, blocked field goal, whatever you want to talk about. And I'm going to get to something I hate about what happened in that game too later. But there's something magical going on with the Eagles with Foles. And then you look at the Colts. And for a team that's had a dog shit defense for so long, they're killing it, man. And they're supporting Luck. And they shut down the Texans, who have probably the best wide receiver in football. What they did, what Philly did to support their quarterback, what the Cowboys defense really did to put the clamps down on Russell Wilson until it was too late. He made a run late, but it was too late. The support around these quarterbacks is what really stuck out to me. I loved it because I'm so tired of just quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league. I get it, and we talk about quarterbacks a lot because they're the face of franchises. But you look at teams in these playoff teams, there's only one or two, I think it is two, where their quarterbacks make an abundance of their salary cap. And it's great to see these teams winning under those circumstances.
And for me, I want to say that I love seeing my main man, Cody Parkey, missed that field goal because fuck the Chicago Bears.
He didn't miss. It got blocked, just for the record.
But he still missed. It still did not go in. So, as much as I hate to see the Chicago fans and NFL fans go nuts on the guy because you guys are trash, it's total bullshit. The way fans act. This is what we hate about fans. And I think all three of us actually agree about this. It's terrible. I did love to see the Bears lose because, again, I don't care about the Bears. But I think what I'm going to go with that I loved more than anything is I love seeing the Chargers win. And I don't even know why. Like, maybe because it's been so overdue. There was all that talk years ago of, like, Phillip Rivers being, was he that fringe elite kind of quarterback? And, now it's finally paying off. The Chargers won, 11 or 12 games this year. And it was nice to see them win for once.
I missed his supporting cast, too. I mentioned the other three, but, his supporting cast was great. He wasn't great. He turned the ball over a couple times. So,
all right, so let's go with Gary's favorite part, and that's why we're going to save him for last. Let's go with what we hated about last week, and I'm going to be real fast. I'm going to go with the fact that I had to watch the Chicago Bears playing extra football because, again, fuck you guys. Raul, what did you hate about last weekend?
Okay, so, obviously, similar to your hatred of the Bears, I hated seeing the Eagles win. Going towards that Bears kicker, though, man. We all talked about it as soon as it happened. They released his phone number, fucking death threats. For getting beat by Philly, the Bears fans sure as fuck acted like Philly fans. And I didn't really like that too much. But yeah, I think the biggest disappointment for me, and it was kind of bittersweet because I've always been a big Andrew Luck fan, is I wanted to see the Texans make it into the next round. I really wanted to see Deshaun Watson do a little bit more. I just feel like he struggled. The run game was fucking non-existent. And so I think that was probably my biggest disappointment was the Bears' treatment of their guy, the Eagles winning, obviously, and then the Texans just not being able to pull it up. But again, bittersweet. I'm a big Luck fan, so it's kind of whatever.
And before we get into Gary's 4.5 hour long rant about what he didn't like about the Wildcard Weekend, I did want to kind of touch on what Raul said a little bit there. I remember going into the Wildcard round thinking, I fucking wish the Colts and Texans didn't play each other because I really would have loved to root for both of those teams, maybe have them meet up later. But, it is what it is. Gary,
I'll try to keep
wait, let's do this an easier way. What didn't you hate? No, I'm just kidding. What did you hate about Wildcard Weekend?
I didn't hate the beer I drank while watching football.
Hey.
But so quick stat before I get into my I'm going to try to keep it short, I promise. But quick stat, Deshaun Watson, that was his first game he's lost by more than a touchdown since his sophomore year of high school. It's crazy. A quarterback in the NFL has been starting for about a year and a half and has never lost a game by more than a touchdown. Just ridiculous. And, supporting cast, whatever, but, it's just to not lose by more than a touchdown is crazy. But I digress. So I get into what I hate. I hate feeling after games like I didn't watch the players decide the game. That's the biggest thing for me. And Andy, you and I watched the Dallas game together, and we watched it with a Cowboys fan. My brother is unfortunately as incorrect as can get. But anyway, there's a couple of calls late in that game that kind of swung things, resulted in a touchdown. The pass interference call against, I believe it was KJ Wright. It might have been Bobby Wagner, but I believe it was KJ Wright. When they called that pass, incidental contact, it was terrible. I hate to feel that way. And then with the replay where the guy bobbles the ball, goes to the ground, loses it, that's textbook incomplete pass. I don't know how they screw these things up on replay, but it happens every week. I bitch a lot about the Cowboys getting a lot of favorable calls, but it isn't just the Cowboys. They screw this stuff up in the replay booth all the time. Al Riveron has one job. Watch a play frame by frame and just apply the rule book, and he can't fucking do it. It's absurd. It's absurd to me.
We've also said this over and over and over and over again. It defeats the purpose of the fucking replay.
Just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. That's my stance at this point. Just get fucking rid of replay because we can't apply it right? Well, then you go back to the Bears game when they go to replay. They had a first down at the 5-yard line. They called it a fumble. It wasn't a fumble. I'm sorry. They called it incomplete. it was a catch and a fumble, and then there was no clear recovery. Ball's supposed to go with the spot of the fumble, and they push them back 25 yards. So then they have to kick a field goal. So you erase potentially 4 points off the board. I don't like leaving games thinking that the rule book changed the game. And Andy, I'm gonna serve this up to you because you're the resident basketball aficionado, expert, guru. We've talked about this, right? The NFL is different than missed calls in other leagues. It really is, because that changes. You only get maybe 10 or 11 possessions a game at most. So you're talking 10% of your possessions were influenced by officiating. How much of an impact does this have as opposed to like other leagues, Andy?
Well, and I said it when we were watching the Dallas and Seahawks game, and I've said it a 1,000 times over the years. People knowing that I'm an NBA fan often try to attack me from the angle that, the NBA's officiating is bad, or their rules on traveling are bad, et cetera, especially when I speak out against the NFL, because I've actually spoken out against the NFL for many years now. I do enjoy the NFL, but, I feel like in a sport where one call can literally impact the entirety of the game, as where, in the NBA, if, a LeBron James or, a Karl Anthony Towns or one of these big name players, they can get 10 foul calls, and, that might only lead to a handful of points, as where, you can gain those handful of points back in a few possessions. In the NFL, one bad pass interference call can take you 60 yards up the field and put you in, field goal range, or put you in, range to score a touchdown. It's too bad. It's tough. And I mean, it's the nature of the beast, the way the NFL is. But
I've got one last thing on this. My mom was here Sunday watching the games with me, and I explained to her, like, I get a lot of people. I bitch about it on Facebook all the time. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you see it. I bitch about it. The refs, blah blah blah. It's easy calls. It's simple shit. You can't apply the rule book and whatever. And I get a lot from people saying, "Well, it's one call. It doesn't change the game." Think about those two games that I brought up, right? The Chicago game and the Seattle game. Well, Seattle, Dallas, and Chicago, Philly. If Chicago gets the ball first and goal at the 5, and we'll say hypothetically they score a touchdown, well, they lost by a couple of points. That's 4 points difference between the field goal they made and the touchdown they might have made. And then you go to the Cowboys game. The incomplete pass that was called a catch extended a drive that ended up with a touchdown. At best, they get a field goal out of that. They might not, whatever, but they lost by 2. Seattle lost by 2 in that game. 4 points on the board that shouldn't have been on the board, as opposed to 4 points wiped that shouldn't. And you've got teams that lost by less than those 4 points. To speak to your point, Andy, those calls can really influence the game. And I sound like this tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist all the time, and I get it. I do, because I bitch about it all the time, but it bugs me. It really bugs me, because I can sit on my couch and see the replay that these people are looking at. They're looking at the same looks we get on TV, and they say this all the time. They're looking in the booth at the same replays that we have on TV. If I can see it on there, and me as the average Joe who hasn't been an official in the NFL for 25 years like Al Riveron can look at this, apply the rules of the game, and make the call, and they can't, sitting in New York, what am I supposed to think? Is it favoritism? Is it just not wanting to go against the refs on the field? I don't know what it is, but it sucks as a fan to leave the game thinking the players didn't decide the game. That's my final point of Wildcard Weekend, because it's the fucking playoffs. The playoffs should not leave me with that feeling.
All right, let's get Raul. Let me give you like a little 30-second chime in on this. You got anything to say about this? Yeah, something.
We've always said the same shit about the replay. The replay has gotten to a point where it has done more harm than good. And I think all of us, I can't think of one specific game off the top of my head aside from the ones you were just talking about, but I think we've all experienced several. I think at least once a week there is a game every fucking week, every season that is completely impacted or would have swung one way or another, win or loser, by a bad call as a result of that replay. So, yeah, I agree. I think that, and again, and I've seen it in Cowboys games. I've seen it in every team in the NFL. I've seen the swings. I've seen Tom Brady get calls, bad calls against him. I've seen every single team has been a victim of it. And it's something that's fixable. It's either one of two things needs to happen. They need to actually do their fucking job in the booth, or they need to just get rid of it.
So we're gonna segue here into next week or this week. It's Friday, so we're talking tomorrow. Today, by the time you guys see this video, we're gonna talk about these divisional games. But real quick, we wanted to get into a little MVP chat. We're talking two guys. We did this a little bit earlier in the season, quite early in the season. One of these guys has stayed the same. One of these guys has changed. They both play the same position now. They were both offensive players before. Before we were talking about Todd Gurley, and we were talking about my boy, Irish Patty Mahomes. Remember, I claimed him. This is like the Dave Chappelle, the racial draft. And
by first name, you claimed him?
I've claimed Patrick Mahomes, St. Patrick Mahomes. See, I can do this a million ways. So he's now part of the Irish delegation. You can't do shit about it.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes. We're talking Patty Mahomes, and we're talking Drew Brees. Who do you guys think? And we're going to go quick. We'll go quick here. Who do you guys think deserves to be the MVP this year? I'm going to go to you first, Gary. Drew Brees or Irish Patty Mahomes? Patty Mahomes. Mahomes.
Yeah, I got Drew Brees, and I think it's a little bit of, I think he deserves it, and sort of I think he's going to get it because it's really one school of thought for me that changes kind of this whole thing. I think Patrick Mahomes is great. He's proved me wrong because I called him I called him a bust basically at the draft when he got drafted and in the first round, and for them to trade up and whatnot, I thought it was a mistake. 50 touchdowns is not a mistake. The guy can ball, right? 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, dude can play. But I think Drew Brees, they know he's on his last leg. I shouldn't say last leg. He's still playing well. But he's at the twilight years of his career. I think he's going to get it for lifetime achievement. And I don't know if that's fair or not to Mahomes. I think Drew Brees has played well enough to win it. I just don't know if it's super fair to Mahomes if he gets it as a lifetime achievement award. I think it's one of those things where Mahomes has got many years ahead of him, so the voters may think, he's going to win it eventually. And Brees has never won it, and he's had some seasons he should have, I think, where he was deserving. And I think this year is finally going to be the time where they say, okay, take it, put the cap on your career, win the MVP. I think he deserves it, but I also think Mahomes has an argument. But I think it's going to go to Brees based on lifetime achievement award.
So real quick before I go to Raul, at the risk of putting words into your mouth, you don't sound like you think Drew Brees deserves it necessarily. Like you're saying you think he could get it and he's worthy, but you're saying who you think is going to get it. Who do you think should get it out of those two?
I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other. To be completely honest, 50 touchdowns, but he had 12 picks and a bunch of fumbles. He's careless with the ball. I think you can make an argument against him. If I had a vote, I vote for Drew Brees because of the way that he commands that team. But I don't think that anybody who voted for Mahomes, I would have a strong argument against them, is more what I'm saying. It's not that I would vote against Mahomes. It's more that I would vote for Brees.
All right, Raul, who you got, man?
All right, so the last time we had this conversation, we had the conversation between Todd Gurley and Mahomes. Drew Brees was never a part of that conversation. So I'm going to use that as the foundation of this argument. If he wasn't in the conversation then, the common denominator through this has been Pat Mahomes. So I agree with Gary that Drew Brees will probably get it because of, he's basically going to pull rank and get it because they're both arguably close to equally qualified. I think that Pat Mahomes to say he was an underdog, or not to say underdog, I think he was underestimated in the beginning of the season, and to do what the fuck he's done all season is, I think it's more, I think the argument that we talked about with Todd Gurley was that he was the sure thing, right? And I think with Breeze, it's kind of the same thing, but Pat Mahomes he's not Drew Brees. He hasn't commanded the team the same way, but he's still accomplished some pretty incredible shit. So I'm going to give the edge to Mahomes on this one.
I'm going to keep mine pretty quick. Despite my endorsements for Irish Patty, I'm rocking with them just because of the 5,000 yards, the 50 touchdowns. Drew Brees is more like 4,032 touchdowns or something. Less turnovers, great. I don't give lifetime achievement awards. And, the Saints did win 13 ball games this year compared to the Chiefs 12, which is fine. I didn't even really dive into the common denominator thing as much as Raul. I'm glad he brought that up because it does make sense to me. I'm going with Mahomes, man. Like, I don't like that mold Drew Brees used to have on his face and shit. I like less that he got it removed because Chris Rock didn't fix the gap in his teeth.
Neither did Strahan.
He kept it.
So two quick things. One, back when we talked about Mahomes and Gurley, the conversation we had before we went on the air that night was three people, and we chose Gurley and Mahomes. The person we left off was Drew Brees at the time. So not necessarily, he was left off for a reason at the time because Gurley was out of his mind, Mahomes was out of his mind. But the other thing is, Mahomes has like 3 times or 4 times as many turnovers as Drew Brees. So it's not just the picks, it's everything else. And he doesn't have 3 or 4 times as many touchdowns as Drew Brees. So yeah, 50-5 is great. 32-5, 32 touchdowns, 5 picks in like 7 total turnovers on the season. That's just kind of what makes it for me.
Yeah, but he's got a good running back's worth of yards more than him, and 18 more touchdowns. So I mean, that's again. I mean, I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but these are the things I think that weigh against each other.
Yeah,
So
I think you're splitting hairs either way, and whoever you support, it'd be hard to dispute the other person, and that's just kind of where I'm at.
I think, honestly, you could probably be right, or you could pick Drew Brees.
I support that shit. So let's jump in to the last bit we have here, and that's this week. Everybody fucking get excited. We're into these divisional rounds here. I don't even necessarily want to dive too deeply into the storylines. We've got 4 good games. We have the Colts at the Chiefs, which I think is interesting as hell. We have the Chargers at the Patriots, which I also think is interesting as hell, especially when you got a 13-win team versus an 11-win team. We have the Eagles and the Saints. We have the Cowboys and the Rams. I feel like this is – I don't want to sound like too giddy, but this to me stacks up to be a pretty fucking good playoff, I think. I mean – again, we'll have some blowouts or some shit that shouldn't happen, but this is like the first time in a couple of years at least that I've looked at this division around and been like, man, I'm really kind of fucked up about this. So we'll jump right into you, Gary. Well, let's not do it that way. Let's jump into we'll go with the first game on the docket. We'll go with the Chiefs Colts. Give me your winner, Gary. Give me why. Go.
I don't love this pick, and to speak to what you have been saying, and we discussed it before we got on the air. Like, this weekend's really just it's a lot of good matchups, and I think it's going to be a great weekend of football. I've got the Colts, but I don't love it. I don't trust Andy Reid in the playoffs. Okay, and I don't. As good as Mahomes has been all year, I don't know if I trust him in his first playoff game. That's probably not the best reasons why, but my other thing is the Colts defense has been absolutely unbelievable all year. So I think there's some potential where this Colts team can play the man-to-man defense that we talked about early in the season, disrupting that Kansas City Chiefs offense at times, being able to kind of neutralize some of the weapons they have. I make this pick knowing full well that I could and maybe you can say likely will be wrong, but I've got the Colts.
Oh, baby, who you got? And why?
All right. So it's fucking upset season. All right. This week is going to be upset season. I think I can agree with the Colts. I can agree with them. And similar reasons. I don't trust Andy Reid in the playoffs. I definitely don't. I mean, it's unnerving to think of, Pat Mahomes in the playoffs. The defense has been playing lights out. But at the same time, you've got the Chiefs coming off of the rest. I don't know, man. Fuck. That is tough. Honestly, I'm gonna go with the Colts. I do think that Andrew Luck's gonna roll in here with some momentum, and they're going to. I think that they're gonna shut them down. I think they're gonna get a hold of the run game, or they're gonna stop the run game for the Chiefs, and then that's gonna be the struggle.
And Raul there almost just talked himself out of it. So this is one of those things. And I said earlier in the show. Actually, I won't even talk about it. I have 3 things, and then I'll give you my prediction. I don't trust Andy Reid, like both of you. And it sucks to say that, but it is what it is. I don't trust a first-year starting quarterback, even after I just endorsed him as not only my Irish brethren, but my MVP candidate. And I don't trust a group of talented but young players who haven't really been there before. And that's going to contradict another argument I'm going to make in a second. But those are my 3 things there. My other 3 things are A, the Colts defense, wow. B, the Colts offensive line, wow. And when you put those 2 things together and you have a very above average quarterback, even though he's a fucking caveman with a neck beard from hell, this shit is deadly. I mean, it's no mistake that a guy like Eric Ebron, who's been a Lion, and I'm a Lions fan, has gotten so open. It's because of 2 things, that Colts line and the ability of Luck when given time. So I think with those 6 things, the 3 things against the Chiefs and the 3 things for the Colts, I'm going with the Colts too. Sucks that none of us picks the Chiefs. I feel kind of crazy about that, being that the Chiefs are the Chiefs. And I do think they could easily win that game, but I got to go.
So your point about first-year quarterbacks, though, I mean, think about it last weekend. Watson lost first year in the playoffs. I mean, he got hurt last year, so, that kind of his redshirt year. Trubisky lost. And you look back to last year with Jared Goff, his first year in the playoffs, he lost, So, yeah. And first-year quarterbacks in the playoffs, you're absolutely right.
It's not uncommon. It's like first-year quarterbacks throwing interceptions. It happens. It's a thing. So, it is. I mean, we'll jump into the next thing. We'll go Chargers, Patriots. And, I have a feeling we might be a little less goofy here. Raul, what do you think, man?
All right, so I think this is where upset season comes in. I think that touchdown Tommy is not going to pull it off. I think that Phillip Rivers and fucking quote me. I see you leaning back in your chair, Gary, and you can fucking S a D from the B if you disagree. Okay? Touchdown Tommy is going to take a seat after this weekend. And even then, I'm at like 70% confidence. So it's like a C, but I'm passing. So I'm going to fucking go with it. So I'm going to say that Phillip Rivers is going to fucking pull it off and get that W and send the Patriots home. And Belichick can go fucking spend the rest of his offseason frowning and finding another way to cheat.
Well, I think what Belichick will do, and I'm going to go before Gary real quick, is I think Belichick will spend his offseason and he's going to get extra time because I, too, am picking the Chargers. I think this is Drew Brees' time. I don't fucking know why. I've never had faith in Drew Brees in my life. Listen, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Jesus
you're
Christ.
good. I got you back.
Phillip Rivers. And it's not even because he used to play there. Phillip Rivers. I've never had faith in Phillip Rivers in my life. I got to start this all over again. I have more faith in sushi from 7-Eleven than I do in Phillip Rivers usually, especially deep in the season or into the playoffs. But for some reason, I feel like this is going to be his time. And Belichick is going to spend his extra time in the offseason cutting the sleeves off of hoodies. Gary.
Well, gentlemen,
I don't think you agree, so go, kid.
I'm on an island again. And I'm gonna start this with a caveat, right? I picked the Chargers in week 14, I think, and it wasn't on here. It was at work talking to just bullshitting in the office. I like what the Chargers do. They play great defense. I trust Rivers more this year than I ever have, but the last few weeks that offense has been pretty abysmal. They won last week kind of in spite of the offense, mostly in spite of the offense. I think the Chargers have done a good job finding a way to win this year, but I'm actually going to go against what I picked almost 2 months ago. I shouldn't, because it's not the right thing to do, but I just saw the weather report, and it's going to fucking snow at Foxborough this weekend. I got the Patriots, man. I got the Patriots because of Touchdown Tommy. I got the Patriots because of Bill. I've got the Patriots because of the weather. I don't think LA can, and they didn't get it. They didn't get a fair shake, mostly because of seeding. And if they'd have been in a different division, they're probably hosting a playoff game this weekend instead of going on the road. But they were in the Chiefs division, and division record kind of settled it for them. They had to go to Baltimore, then they fly back to LA, then they fly to Foxborough, and they're going to play in the snow. I got the Patriots, and I got them in a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be teens against teens, 18-16, 17-16, something like that.
And, teens against teen is my favorite topic when I'm on Pornhub. That's my category, Buster. I go there every time. So let's go into the next one. You guys okay? We're going Saints and grease the flagpoles, grease the traffic lights, put anti-inflammatories all around the city. Big Dick Nick and the Philadelphia Eagles are coming to town. Who you guys got, man? I mean, we'll go to you first, Gary. You got the Eagles? No, you don't got the Eagles. You got the Eagles and the Saints, baby.
Let's not bash Philly too bad, because we took a lot of flack for that last year, right? The 17 events that they had equated to one in fucking DC, right? I mean, come on. Let's get fucking real here. Philly fans are the worst. They are the fucking absolute worst. I know some good Philly fans, but they're not the ones burning down the fucking city.
Yeah, I don't remember that guy's name, but you, sir, are a Philly fan. You're not a good one. You're still a dick, but you're not burning the town down.
They're mentally softer than John Jones fans.
Yeah, it's
sure. Ridiculous.
For sure.
If you mention John Jones in a failed piss test, they come out of the woodwork acting like it didn't fucking happen. Like he was set up, or like, did you see scientists? Like, shut the fuck up, man.
Crazy, man.
This motherfucker was on cocaine. He was on steroids. He was on fucking rabbit tranquilizers.
High-grade fever tranquilizers.
He was having fun.
Fucking elephant boner pills. I mean, all kinds of shit, man.
Shit, you got to get in the fucking mail, first class from India.
Yeah, from fucking Micronesia. No, I don't have Philly. I've got LA.
Who do you have?
New Orleans. I'm sorry, New Orleans. I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself.
Get it together, guy.
I gave away my next pick. I've got New Orleans in the dome. They're too good at home. I think they have too many weapons, and I think this is the week we see that Philly magic wear out. I'm the one that brought it up earlier, right? There's something magical about what Big Dick Nick is doing there, but I got New Orleans at home. Too good, too many weapons. I don't think that Philly defense can match up with how many weapons they actually have.
Raul, kid, who are you taking?
So I'm going to be supporting the Who Dat Nation this weekend. Partially because I can never and will never find it in me to root for the Eagles. Although I really do love this matchup purely because it's the first time in NFL playoff history that two quarterbacks from the same high school will play each other.
Yeah, and why don't you say what fucking state they're from? Come on.
Westlake High School in Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
Let's
fucking Texas.
Hey, 4 of the 8 quarterbacks in the playoffs right now. Going back to my last statement, Gary, suck a dick from the back. Are from Texas.
Dude, this shit doesn't even count, bro. This shit is like the fucking size of 4 Europes. These mother.
Exactly. We got coverage, dog. We got coverage.
They're from like Texas 4 and Texas 7.
Pray and fucking pray.
Jesus
2
Christ.
of the 4 from the same fucking high school, guy. Come on. Anyways, bro, you need to step your game up. Anyways, focus less on your fucking beard, more on like, producing better quarterbacks.
No, you fucking attack the beard, sir. Look at this.
I envy them.
Look at the glory.
You know what I don't envy? Your fucking quarterbacks, bro. The worst.
My quarterback is from Texas too, kid.
No. I'm talking about you in New York.
Oh, well, New York doesn't produce quarterbacks, but
we produce curling.
Yeah. We produce taxes and shit.
Yeah, taxes and like tax evasion.
We make like taxes and like titty bars and shit like that.
You're fighting the good fight. Anyway, so I'm with the Who Dat Nation. I don't think that Nick Foles is going to have the same magic that he had last year. I don't think that's going to happen. And again, in the dome against Drew Brees and the momentum that he's building, because he's not done. I mean, I really don't think he's done. And again, I do think that he has a valid run towards MVP, and I don't think that's going to end. I think that they're still. I don't see them going anywhere.
MVP should be awarded after the Super Bowl. God damn it.
Flint,
I know you love this. Sean Payton rolling in there with the fucking Lombardi and $225K.
Oh, I loved it all day.
Woo.
That's like some mobster shit, dude. That's like my boss mentality. But Crisco those polls, baby, because Big Dick Nick and the Eagles, they're stealing this motherfucker.
You rolling with Gang Green?
I'm rolling with it, man. I don't even fucking know why. You want to know why? I think it's partially because they beat the Bears.
That's some big dick energy right there.
That's my thing. That's my thing. So I'm going with it. And shout out to Sean Payton, because that was the most big dick move anybody's ever done ever with the cash and shit. If you're rolling there with the cash and the trophy, you were like, hey, let me borrow the trophy for a minute.
Yeah, right. He pulled it out of the trophy case and said, give me some armed guards. We're fucking rolling into the locker room.
Yo, that's gangster. That's gangster.
Yeah, that's
like I don't even know what to say about that. So we'll go into the last one. Let's get this last game out of the way. We're gonna go to Gary first, obviously, because we're gonna save this other guy for last. Rams, Cowboys. Come on, Redskins fan, tell us who you got.
Yeah, I gave it away, and it's not because I'm a Redskins fan. I've got the Rams. They're at home. Cowboys aren't the same team away from home. It's kind of the opposite reason I picked the Saints. But I also think that the Rams defense is going to be motivated after Amari Cooper came out and said some dumb shit. Because he said, I've played against Talib a lot. I've played against Peters a lot. Let me let you fucking know right now, Amari Cooper, your last 2 games against Aqib Talib, fucking 38 yards and a broken chain. Check that shit at the door, bub.
And that's really before you even get to the pride,
So I'll go now because we're gonna save Raul for last. He's the resident Cowboys fan. I almost feel bad, like I'm being a hater in a way, because this was the only upset I'm not picking. I'm going with the Rams as well. Although I think it's going to be a very good game, and I was noted as saying earlier is I think that every underdog team in this playoff, in this division round, has a very legitimate chance of winning. And I do think the Cowboys match up very well against the Rams. Honest to God, if I were Dallas, this was the matchup I want despite how good the Rams are. I feel some kind of way about this. I do think they match up well. I think it's going to be close. I think we're going to be within like 3 or 4 points here. But I'm going to give the edge to that Rams defense. Hopefully Gurley can go. Goff can get something going. Not for Raul's sake. Raul, what you got? You got the Rams too, kid?
I'm going with the big D, and I do mean Dallas. I'm going to stay true to my team. I don't have faith in Gurley, honestly. Not to say that he's not great. I just don't think he's going to be 100%. I think that's going to hurt him. I think Zeke stands a chance to look good against that team. I think that more than likely they'll probably try to rely on the run and probably Dak doing some more scrambling. And I think that Dallas's only real chance at being successful is not relying on Cooper unless you're going to do short shit. I mean, you got to be running short slants, Y options. I mean, you've got to be. This is the fucking game where you need Jason Witten. It is. I mean, I think
get him out of the booth.
I'm sure you could get him out of there. I don't know that he'd fit into his jersey anymore. I think
no, he'd roll the fuck out of there in a second to play in this game.
Fuck yes, he would. No,
but he could? Absolutely.
But I do agree. I think it's going to be similar to the Seattle game where it's going to be within a field goal. I think it is going to be I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be low scoring. This is going to be a game in the Pornhubs, in the teens.
In the Pornhubs is now a Backyard Sports fucking slogan.
You heard it here first.
Pornhub. Yo, hit us up, man. An endorsement, because here's the thing. I think you like us. I know we like you. Dad
bods is slowly becoming
send some of your analysts over.
Yeah, analysts.
We'll mingle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lacey's not still in the room, Gary.
He is.
So we got to do the salute to service. Raul, I know you got that, man. Let's get it.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Microphone's messing up here. Oh no, where did it go? All right. So this episode salute to service is going to go to Sergeant Jason Mitchell McClary. He was 24 from Export, Pennsylvania. He died December 3rd of last month. He was suffering wounds from a IED attack in Ganzi province on November 27th. He was attached to the 1st Battalion, 38th Infantry Regiment, 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division at Fort Carson, Colorado. He was actually the 4th casualty from that IED attack. So this week's salute to service goes to you, Sergeant McClary. We have the watch.
All right. So before we get out of here, I was just brainstorming a little bit to let you fucking people know us fucking people. Sounds real Sopranos right now. A little fucking better. I wanted to roll out real quick with who was your favorite football player growing up as a kid, Gary?
Darryl Green. My favorite number is 28. I ended up actually choosing my favorite NASCAR driver at the time. Davey Allison was the number 28 race car because I was that big a fan of Darryl Green. Undersized, super fast. I played cornerback. I really enjoyed playing cornerback. I chose the number 28 any chance I could. I play Macker tournaments, basketball tournaments, and a lot of times my number on the back of my shirt's 28. There was so much about him and kind of the way he went about things, and he's so personable. To see him interacting with fans all the time. We went to a preseason game in Buffalo where the Redskins were in town, and he was shaking so many hands, and there's so much to it. But Darryl Green, by far and away, is still to this day my favorite football player that I ever watched. The Tootsie Roll in the sock, and he said that's what made him fast. It was nuts. As a kid, that stuff really, really played with me. So Darryl Green for sure.
Raul, as an itty bitty little guy in Texas, big fucking dreams, big state. Who was your guy?
I think it would probably be John Kitna.
Fuck off.
No, Emmitt Smith, man, of course.
Fucking John Kitna.
I don't know. I was just trying to think of like the lamest fucking guy I could think of, and he was.
Yeah, I like John Kitna, man. Fuck you.
Okay, then
I got a little
okay,
love for John Kitna.
Then go fucking like him. Ways. So Emmitt Smith, definitely my favorite of all time for me. That's so I met him actually whenever I was really young. Met him in a grocery store, and it was just some random fucking grocery store. He walked around the store with me. It was awesome, and I'll never forget it. But anyways, always been a really big fan of him for sure.
And I'll end this on talking about a real running back, Barry Sanders.
Go.
My guy, you know.
Fucking whoa, guy. I'm not. I didn't.
You dissed John Kitna, fucker. So, nah. Emmett was decent. I'd liken him to like Javid best. But Barry Sanders, my dude, number 20. Big ups. I like him like I like Tupac. Fucking A. So, on behalf of myself, Raul, Gary, the corrupt system of referees in the NFL. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Backyard Sports. We out of here.